Hello, I am Professor Brian. It's Brian, not Brain. Today we are going to talk about the invention of forks. And it's not like one day someone just woke up and thought, all right, let's invent fork. But it has a long history. Forks actually started off as tools for cooking, not eating. Big pronged things used to handle meat over a fire. If you wanted to eat though, you still used your hands or maybe a knife. Fast forward to around the 9th century in the Middle East and the Byzantine Empire. Wealthy families started using smaller, fancier two-pronged forks mostly to eat fruits or foods that were sticky or hard to grab. But when a Byzantine princess named Theophano married into Venetian royalty and brought forks with her to Italy, people weren't impressed. Believe it or not, folks thought forks were kind of creepy. There were even priests who said using a fork was sinful, like, why are you acting too fancy to use your God-given hands? But the Italians eventually came around, especially during the Renaissance, when eating neatly became a trend. By the 16th century, forks were spreading across Europe. Catherine de' Medici, who married the King of France, brought forks with her from Italy, and suddenly everyone in the French court wanted one. But even then, it took a while for forks to go mainstream. People didn't fully embrace them until the 18th century. Up until then, people were still munching away with knives and hands. And thanks to global trade, forks eventually found their way to North America, where they became part of standard cutlery. Today, we've got all kinds of forks: salad forks, dessert forks, even tiny forks for seafood. Now, let's talk about one of the most important inventions in human history, the compass. This little device has guided explorers and sailors for centuries. But where did it all start? Let's dive in. The compass was first invented in ancient China during the Han Dynasty, around the 2nd century BC. But initially, it was not even used as a compass we use today. There is a naturally magnetized mineral known as lodestone. In ancient China, a piece of lodestone was simply floated on the water. It was mounted on a piece of wood or reed, and observers watched in awe as it mysteriously aligned itself with the north-south axis, thus creating a floating compass. Later, they started using a lodestone spoon-shaped needle whose handle would always face south. What do you think ancient Chinese used this thing for? Well, if you guessed for navigation, you would be wrong, because it was used for fortune-telling. As time went on, the Chinese figured out how to make a more practical version of the compass for navigation. By the 11th century, during the Song dynasty, the magnetic compass was becoming essential for maritime travel. Sailors started using it to determine direction, even when the stars weren't visible, which was a game-changer for sea voyages. Before the compass, sailors relied heavily on celestial navigation. They had to know the positions of the sun and stars, which was tricky when the weather turned sour. With the compass, they could confidently sail into unknown waters, exploring new trade routes and lands. This laid the groundwork for the Age of Discovery. This concludes our class today. I hope you liked the video, and I also hope you won't need a compass to locate the subscribe button. Do you?